Now, since the inception of this YouTube channel, I have seen a number of car crash interviews, but never have I seen one like this one. In this clip, we see MAGA candidate, also a sheriff, Chad Bianco, just completely fall apart and implode on MS Now as he gets pressed and repeatedly cornered on things that are factual versus things that he's actually running on. Look, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and perspectives on what happens towards the end. Let's get into it.
Sheriff, thanks for being here with us. You are running on law and order, and public safety is one of your big campaign platforms. So let's start there on your record. So based on the crime data that your team submitted to the state, over your first 6 years in office, your department cleared around 9% of major violent and property crimes, and that puts you last among your fellow sheriffs in California. So those numbers aren't great. Why should voters in California trust you with their safety?
Well, the real numbers are out there. My county definitely knows what the numbers are. California DOJ knows what the exact numbers are.
You submitted those numbers, though, sir.
Oh, no, we submitted numbers. That's just not the numbers that DOJ reports. What the real numbers show me is the #1 law enforcement agency in large agencies, and then overall we're #6. The 5 above us are smaller agencies, and they're doing a great job. But I'm very, very proud of my agency, my employees. We are by far one of the most proactive agencies in the entire country, and the 2.5 million people in Riverside County know that.
Sheriff, I want to ask you on the topic of law and order about your past membership in the Oathkeepers. The Oathkeepers are described by many experts and organizations and watchdogs as extremists, an anti-government organization, a group filled with people who believe in many conspiracy theories. There were Oathkeepers present at the insurrection on January 6th, at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville years ago. And just a few days ago, you told CNN that you were very proud of your past affiliation with the Oathkeepers. If you're so proud, why aren't you still involved with them?
Yeah, even in the question, I mean, the things that you're saying and the things that you laid out there, those aren't true. Those are all propaganda statements that you're reading off of a teleprompter or a piece of paper. And
were Oathkeepers not present at January 6th?
Stuart Rhodes, who founded the Oathkeepers, was convicted of seditious conspiracy for helping organize January 6th.
My law enforcement deputies and investigators have arrested numerous media personnel for child molestation. That doesn't mean any of you are child molesters, does it?
I don't see what that has to do with my question.
That is the most.
I asked you a very clear question, Sheriff.
How many exactly? Give us a number. How many media have you arrested for child molestation? That's a pretty serious charge, and great if you lock them up. But how many? Give us a number. Then you're bragging about one of your achievements.
It's exactly the point, because three people that were arrested at January 6th happen to be a member of an organization doesn't make the membership bad.
Okay, but I asked
the founder of the organization.
I asked you a very clear question that I think the voters of California, and I actually think Americans deserve to know. You said on a stage that you were very proud of your membership.
Told you,
if you are very proud, why are you not still in the Oathkeepers?
My exact words were, I am absolutely very proud of the oath I took to defend my Constitution. And if you guys would have taken the time to read the mission statement of the Oathkeepers and compare that to the ACLU, you would see that they're almost identical. Because a few people got in trouble that had association with it, don't label everybody in that organization as the same. This is why we're in this position in this country, because everybody has an opinion, everybody believes they're right, and no one wants to just go off of facts. We have to get emotionally involved in things that not only don't matter, but the majority of the time just aren't true. The Oathkeepers were founded as an organization of law enforcement and military personnel who swore an oath to defend our Constitution against all enemies, foreign, domestic, and that's exactly what it was. And I am absolutely proud of it, and I will willingly die defending my Constitution and my country.
Okay, so if you're concerned about facts and you think people shouldn't be so focused on emotion, who won the presidential election in 2020?
Joe Biden was our president for 4 years. This is the reason why nobody watches MSBN. Joe Biden was our president for 4 years. This is the stupidest argument. Let me tell you what. Do you want me to tell you what all of that doesn't matter? in what's broken in California. President Trump didn't break California. President Biden didn't even break California. Failed Democrat policies in California have driven us to the brink of almost collapse. And it is proven 100% Democrat policy, supermajority over decades has destroyed California. And that's why a Republican is going to be elected as the governor of California.
So let me ask you about you seizing ballots. Do you regret the measure to seize ballots?
Why would I regret a criminal investigation into fraud? There were 611,000 ballots.
Did it lead to any convictions?
You guys blow my mind with it.
Sorry, I'm just asking you a quick question. It's a yes or no question. Did it lead? I'm just asking a quick question. Did it lead to any convictions?
Well, not yet, because our failed attorney general embarrassment to law enforcement has used the legal system to put a halt to the investigation.
So you still think that there could be convictions as a result of the ballots that you seized in an attempt to overturn a democratic election in this country? I just want to make sure I understand that correctly. You're running in an election in which you think fraud...
I don't think you...
No, you're running in an election, just to be clear, you're running in an election in which you think fraud is taking place, like it did, and that's why you seized the ballots. So on one hand, you're telling voters to actually participate in the democracy that you're alleging could still lead to a conviction. Is that right? Am I getting that right?
I actually don't think you understand that question. There is an allegation of 611,000 ballots and 658,000 votes cast. So the obvious, very, very easy investigation would be to count the ballots to see if it matched the number of votes that the machine said it counted. And if it did, then there's obviously no fraud. If it doesn't, then obviously there is something wrong. But no one wants those ballots counted in the Secretary of State's office or the Attorney General's office. And the real question should be why? Why don't you want those ballots counted?
So Sheriff, so you mentioned that you are at odds with the Attorney General on this. In fact, you have defied direct orders, not only from the Attorney General, but from the governor in various circumstances, whether it's about
I don't answer to the governor. I don't answer to the governor. I don't answer to the Attorney General.
So that's where I'm going. If you were governor, as you are running to be, and sheriffs in the state of California disobeyed you, what would you do?
I wouldn't do anything, because in the Constitution, there's nothing in there that says they have to obey me. But isn't it funny that we want no kings, but we want a governor that controls law enforcement?
Just to clarify, let me give you a for instance. So you are running on a campaign that is in favor of cooperating with the Trump administration's immigration policies. That includes, according to your website, that you want to get rid of sanctuary-style policies. What if
it's a disaster?
What if sheriffs in the state of California decided they didn't want to go along with that because they think it is actually helpful for community safety to have good relations with the public, and to not cooperate with ICE because they think it would be better for. So if they disobey you,
is it a question or a statement?
You're not answering the question.
You won't let me answer it.
Okay,
so here's the whole thing. Here's the beautiful part. Here's the beautiful part about sheriffs in California. We obey the law. Imagine that. We obey the law. So as a governor, I can't tell anybody to break the law, and I would certainly not prevent them from enforcing the law. And that apparently that's what you want me to say.
You're completely defying directives, legal directives grounded in the law.
They're not.
They are. The Attorney General, who is the chief law enforcement officer of your state, certainly believes that. Governor Gavin Newsom, when he had COVID directives, you defied those as well. Now, you can say you thought they were bad,
absolutely.
But they were grounded in the law.
And on history, I was in the right. So obviously, his breaking the law didn't mean that I had to break the law for everybody else, because back to that whole oath for the Constitution, I actually value my oath. And this is absolutely nothing but a legal argument to prevent these ballots from being counted. And the Attorney General is wrong.
If you become governor and sheriffs decide that they do not, that their constitutional interpretation does not agree with yours, you will do nothing.
You just made up something, a hypothetical. You made that up that is not even based in reality.
That is exactly what happened when you.
It's not even close. You are so wrong in this. You have read a bullet point, and instead of investigating it yourself, you read a bullet point based on a political argument, and now you're arguing with me
There's a
about
whole
it.
lawsuit where the Attorney General is alleging that you are breaking the law, and you're saying your constitutional interpretation does not leave you beholden to what the Attorney General in the state says.
Why are you completely discounting my argument? Because you're a complete liberal Democrat that is blindly siding with a liberal Democrat who is an absolute embarrassment to law enforcement. And he has been since he's been in office.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end it there. Now, as I consistently say on this channel, I always say it. The issue with when you debate MAGA is when they don't have a talking point, or when they can't refute the points that are being made to them, they always resort to culture wars. They start to argue identity. They start to just completely pull something out of the air and try and make that a talking point. The liberal Democrat insult at the end, that was the tell. MAGA candidates cannot argue facts. So what do? They fall back and they argue identity. They resort to insults. Bianco didn't refute any single point in that interview. He just attacked the person, the individual who was making them. Now, he walked into this interview trying to look strong, and he walked out looking like every single MAGA stereotype that you can think of rolled into one: defensive, focusing on conspiracies, and incapable of answering basic questions. But more importantly, not discussing anything based in actual policy that is going to help the people of California. That's what it is that MAGA do. And he walked out looking like the exact stereotype. Now, the Oathkeepers aren't a few bad apples. It's a ridiculous statement to even try and make. The founder himself was convicted of seditious conspiracy for January 6th. When an organization's founder believes so much that he can just completely overthrow democracy, you can't just refer to that organization as consisting of a few bad apples. That is a major red flag, and that should be an alarm bells ringing to all Californians that are out there. This isn't a person who believes in democracy. This isn't a person who believes in democracy at all. Now, the child molester deflection that he made was the entire MAGA playbook in one moment. When you can't defend the indefensible, you accuse the person of asking the question of something worse. It's projection as a political strategy. Where else do we see that? If anybody opposes Donald Trump's war in Iran, what do MAGA turn around and say to you? Well, why are you siding with Hamas? Why are you pro-Hamas? But no one's pro-Hamas. That's a ridiculous statement. And lastly, I'll leave it on this. The Joe Biden was our president for 4 years is not Joe Biden won the 2020 election. That one sentence right there is an entire election denial movement in one sentence. Every MAGA candidate in 2026 will use the exact same thing to dodge. Why? Because these people are beholden to their Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. These people don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in the Constitution, and it's telling. A man running for governor who openly says he doesn't answer to governors is telling you exactly how he'd govern. He doesn't want to lead California. He wants to dismantle the parts of it that would hold him accountable, but furthermore, that he doesn't like. And he will put it together for who? For Donald Trump. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this absolute of a car crash interview down in the comment section below. As usual, do the usual stuff. Hit the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, hype up the video, and turn on the bell notification so that you get notified every time we upload a brand new video. Appreciate you guys. See you guys in the next clip.